more people now have houses and have title deeds on the land that they own. Across the country, communities whose land was taken away have successfully reclaimed the land of their ancestors, erasing the sad and dehumanizing experience of indignity and forced removals and dispossession. While challenges still remain, our land reform progress has been impactful and effective in breaking down barriers to land access and ownership in post-apartheid South Africa. More than any other time in our history, more people have access to land that caters for the expansion of human settlement in urban and peri-urban areas. More land has been acquired and redistributed to cater for industrial development, including targeted land for special economic zones and industrial parks in many parts of our country. Over the years, various policy instruments have been employed to accelerate land reform for agriculture, human settlement, and economic development in general. We are advised by the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development that since the inception of the land reform program, government has acquired more than 5 million hectares of land through the land redistribution program for over 5,500 projects that benefited hundreds of thousands of our people. The strategic acquisition of land by government over time has been crucial to government's ability to make more land available for agricultural production. The process to release more state-owned land to aspirant farmers for long-term leases is currently in progress. To date, government has acquired almost 2.2 million hectares of land, which constitute 1,800 farms. Government is committed to releasing state-owned land for agriculture and development. The lease agreements go up to 30 years, and lessees have options to buy the farms. Based on meeting performance and applicable policy consideration, there is no reason why ownership of this farm will not be transferred to those beneficiaries who will be demonstrating the productive capacity and efficient use of the allocated land. As part of our integrated farm support, Honorable Chairperson, the Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development has prioritized the provision of a package of post-settlement support that includes training as well as financial technical support to ensure that all allocated land is productively utilized. In partnership with our traditional leaders, we are now focusing on initiatives to ensure that our communal land assets are systematically purposed to advance the development interests of all our communities. Within the context of the district development model, we'll ensure that land reform programs are integrated with the sectoral development needs of all our communities. Notwithstanding these successes, we are concerned that a number of land reform projects have not performed according to our expectation due to conflicts, inadequate skills, and limited post-settlement support. Some of the restricted farms have remained unproductive. For the country's scale and scope of development and expansion in terms of agriculture, integrated human settlement service, network infrastructure provision, and industrial development, it is clear that the demand and hunger for land outstrip the current supply of development land. Experience, Honorable Chairperson, has indicated that the slow pace of land reform has been a source of frustration for many of those whose claims have not been settled and finalized. It has become apparent that the cost of land reform is unaffordable and unsustainable in the context of our fiscal constraints. Therefore, to us, the expropriation of land without compensation to advance land reform objectives, promote restorative justice, and solidify social cohesion is a necessary route to pursue with a sense of urgency. This unfolding parliamentary process is meant to accelerate and give effect to land and spatial justice while ensuring that our constitutional injunctions are respected. Through the partnership with the private sector, we are confident that more land will be donated to contribute to government's land reform objectives. We have finalized the land donation policy as guided by the land donation transactions. To the extent that our land reform program has been effective and impactful in driving socio-economic transformation and breaking structural barriers to economic participation and inclusion, we are confident that we are on the right track. However, we can admit that a lot of work still remains to be undertaken. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. And now a follow-up question from Honorable Labuschagne.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Mr. Deputy President, my question was about the effectiveness of the land reform program's goal in ensuring land ownership to more people of color and thereby intrinsically providing an economic opportunity. Mr. Deputy President, last year in the National Assembly, you said that no farmer will be evicted from their land. I therefore must ask you now, how do cases like that of Mr. Ivan Klute and Mr. John Mabasa, who are now being evicted from their farms, where they have been successful as part of the land reform program, can indicate effective agricultural support and food security and aids the goal of ensuring land ownership to more people of color?
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think we must indicate right from the onset that our land program, reform program, has been very slow because, one, we're running short of money to purchase all the farms that have been claimed by our people. That program is still continuing, the restitution program. All the farms that have been claimed, we continue to settle them, but the pace is very slow. We're also pursuing land redistribution. We buy farms and redistribute to the people. The expropriation of land without compensation is one option available that we want to pursue in case where the land, there's sufficient reasons that government or the state has got reasonable objective in the utilization of that piece of land and feels that that land can be expropriated for the public benefit. The state will do so. Now, land can be donated. There are many mechanisms that will be utilized to try and restore land to those people that have been dispossessed. And expropriation of land is one such mechanism. And in certain cases where land that belongs to government have been occupied by farmers, we are not just going to simply remove those farmers. We are going to assess the productivity of that piece of land. If it's productive, that's all what we want as government, to have our land being productive. We're not just going to remove farmers just for the sake of removing farmers, and we're not going to be guided by racial reasons to remove farmers. The intention is to support farmers, is to make land available to farmers. But we must bear in mind that there are those people that have been dispossessed of their land, that we must restore this land and their dignity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. Follow-up question from Honorable Nyambi.
Ngibonge sihlalo ngibingelele kuwe sihlalo wendle umkhandlu wetifundza ngibingelele nakusekela mongameli. Honorable Deputy President, let me first appreciate your comprehensive and honest answer to the question on the emotive issue of land. Let me firstly commend the reawakening of DA about the strategic imperative of land reform as raised by my colleague, Honorable Labuskaghni, for understanding that this issue of land is part of nation building. Can the DP highlight some of the critical challenges faced by government in the acceleration of land reform, and what are the plans to address such challenges besides the issue of the slow process? Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Deputy President.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The challenges that are faced by government in the land reform program. Firstly, the program is very slow in trying to resettle people, in trying to restitute people, in trying to redistribute land. The main reason behind this is the slowness. It's because land is expensive. Land is expensive, so we move according to the availability of resources. The number of claimants and claims that have been lodged can only be settled through the availability of resources. And resources, therefore, are a handicap in our land reform process. Government has tried to apply all instruments to try and restore land to those people that have been dispossessed of their land. But the land hunger continues. We are sitting with more than thousands and thousands of claims in the Department of Agriculture that are still needs to be resolved. The only breakthrough now that the panel has complained about the pace of land reform, the decision that has been taken by the 6th administration is that land that has been claimed and that this land is in the hands of government will be given to the claimants free of charge. So there are a number of parcels of land that are in the hands of government that we are now releasing. I can count more than 268 land parcels that will be released free of charge. It's a decision that has been taken. Some pieces of land that are in the hands of government are being released for human settlement. Like here in Cape Town, we've been releasing some pieces of land for people to build. So we are now accelerating our land reform. Of course, expropriation of land without compensation, with nil compensation, is one but very important instrument that we need as government that will help us pursue land reform a bit quicker and faster. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We'll then move on to the next follow-up question from Honorable Dwight.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. Honourable Deputy President, with reference to the land reform program and all the challenges that have been encountered with regards to, among others, farms that were once productive and transferred to a beneficiary community, looted and everything sold for a quick buck before being abandoned and left dilapidated and unproductive by the same beneficiaries. My question is, are there any legislation governing land reform that makes provision to hold beneficiaries accountable for the assets that they acquire in these transactions? And if not, when will such legislation be instituted? Thank you, Deputy President.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think we must confess that we don't have any legislation that will ensure that the land that is given to our people remains in their hands, and the land that is given remains productive. But it is a mistake from the side of government that we give people land, we don't give them the necessary support to till the land. We have just since realized that omission. We are now putting all mechanisms together at a district level to try and anchor our support, our farmer support at a district level, so that certain farmers must be mentored, certain farmers must be trained, must be taught how to farm. It's not everyone who has received land parcel knows how to farm. We can't take it for granted that if you get a piece of land, you'll know what to do with that land. So as government, we're taking it upon ourselves now to put mechanisms in place to ensure that all those restituted funds, the people in those funds get support, so that we get every piece of land that has been restituted, get it to be productive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The last follow-up question is from Honorable Arnolds.
Thank you, Chairperson. Deputy President, land ownership is still concentrated in the hands of a few, and agriculture production and value chains mainly owned by white commercial farmers. The effects of the past remain firmly with us today. Land reform programs has done very little to achieve equitable distribution and access to land for the poor. The poor performance by the government in addressing the land issue, particularly its inadequate support for Black land reform beneficiaries and farmers in communal areas over the past years, has left the landless with many questions. And one of those questions is the government really reforming the agriculture sector? And is this type of land reform, is this the type of land reform the public would like to see? Deputy President, do you agree that the failure to resolve the land question is due to the lack of political will by your government? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We recognize the challenges that we are facing in our land reform program. We want to admit as government that there were hurdles, and those hurdles affected our pace of restoring land to the rightful owners. However, we are picking up the pace. We are finding better ways of getting land back to the people. Yes, Section 25 of the Constitution is one mechanism that will help. Yes, the Expropriation Act, the amendment of that act is one tool that will assist. But from where we are sitting, we have received a lot of requests from companies, especially mining companies, that have come forward to donate pieces of land. We want to really applaud that gesture, and on behalf of government, thank those mining companies that have come forward to donate pieces of land, hence the donation policy. So there are many options and tools that we are applying in order to fast track our land reform process. Yes, we accept and admit that over the years, we have moved very slow. I have said that to date, we have transferred more than 5.5 million hectares of land, which is accounting to almost 5,500 farms that have moved from their previous owners to those people that have been dispossessed. It's not a big progress, but we count it as a milestone. We are cognizant that people are hungry for land, and we're going to step up our pace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next question is question 3. This question is on measures to prevent acts of corruption and or malfeasance. It is from Honorable Dodovu and is to the Deputy President. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Chairperson. Part of the measures outlined in the terms of reference of the IMC on COVID-19 vaccines is putting in place measures to prevent corruption and wasteful expenditure in the procurement and distribution of vaccines. To this end, we wish to assure this House that indeed we have, as the IMC, developed a corruption risk mitigation plan as one of the oversight mechanisms in the implementation of the COVID-19 vaccination program. To give effect to this, the IMC has identified potential risk related to the procurement of vaccines and mitigation strategies required to address such risk. In our view, procurement risk is greater when there are multiple purchasers and multiple suppliers with no uniformity of quality and effectiveness of the product. The ability to monitor and subsequently address corruption and malfeasance becomes more difficult, as we saw in the procurement of the personal protective equipment at the outbreak of the pandemic. In that case, there were multiple purchasers, suppliers, and there were no uniformity in terms of the quality and effectiveness, which led to corruption. In the case of the COVID-19 vaccines, that is limited by the fact that the market is highly regulated and there are only few manufacturers. Further to this, the product is assessed by the regulator to conform to the quality standards, and the procurement is centrally done at national level, which makes it easier to monitor. Effectively, there is no room for inflating prices as a result of bribes and kickbacks, especially as we have centralized procurement to ensure fair prices in the acquisition of vaccines. Provinces will have a limited function in terms of the distribution, as there is a national contract and for vaccine distribution. Consequently, provinces will have to use the selected service providers and existing distribution arrangement for medicines which are already in place. Therefore, there's no need for any additional procurement. Honorable Chairperson, beyond these measures, at acquisition and distribution level, we have looked at other risk and potential areas for acts of corruption in order to be comprehensive in our approach. For instance, the IMC, in its corruption risk and mitigation plan, identifies risk and countermeasures across the entire value chain of the COVID-19 vaccination program. From vaccine acquisition, distribution, to administration. Where non-disclosure agreements may be used to hide corruption, constitutional oversight bodies such as the Auditor General of South Africa will have access for probity audit to such non-disclosure agreements that have been entered into by pharmaceutical companies as well as by any other vaccine supplier. In addition to the Auditor General, law enforcement agencies are doing their work on intelligence-driven measures of combating crime, fraud, and corruption through the Fusion Center. These measures will enable us to deliver a successful vaccination rollout plan and limit any prospects of corruption, whilst enabling South Africa to utilize this opportunity to grow local manufacturing capability in line with our industrial policy. Our government agenda has been stated right from the beginning that we do not only want to acquire these vaccines as manufactured elsewhere, but we intend to locally manufacture. As a country, we have the necessary expertise and infrastructure, and we are confident that our capability to locally produce COVID-19 vaccines can be improved. For us to be successful in such aspirations as a country, we must counter activities such as the production of substandard or falsified vaccines. In this regard, we have put in place the following measures. All registered vaccine centers will be published on platforms for all citizens to have access to this information. And we are working on increasing the number of testing labs to expedite quality assurance of all vaccines that are produced. All suppliers will be requested to produce lab certificates to buyers, providing a unique identifier on delivery of the vaccines and online verification of that certificate. We have, through the communication workstream on the IMC, developed a publication, a public awareness to conscientize our people on the dangers of utilizing unregistered vaccine centers. There are also webinars and radio programs that are being utilized to engage various stakeholders on vaccine corruption risk, as well as in how we could jointly implement mitigation measures. Communication of detection and prosecution of any corruption will be done on a regular basis to enhance transparency and public accountability. Ultimately, we'll move towards local manufacturing of vaccines, which will offer opportunities for open contracting, opportunities for limited localization. The adverse effects may be the opening of risk for potential political compromises and manipulation of tender processes. In this regard, we are proactively working on adopting open contracting principles as part of ensuring transparency in the procurement of vaccines. We have learned from the procurement of personal protective equipment that the ability to monitor and subsequently address corruption and malfeasance is difficult but possible. Hence, the adoption of the comprehensive measures in our corruption risk mitigation plan. For us to be able to prevent corruption in the whole vaccination program, we must work together. That is why we have activated whistleblowing mechanism through the existing hotlines, such as the Presidential Hotline, the Anti-Corruption Hotline hosted by the Public Service Commission, the whistleblowing hotline of the Special Investigation Unit, for the broader public to play their part in preventing and combating corruption. In the final analysis, we are confident of the effectiveness of the measures that we have put in place and shall spare no effort in ensuring that we optimally deliver on the needs of our communities and in partnership with them. Together, we must ensure that we tackle any acts of corruption that take advantage of the plight of our people. We have a duty to defeat the coronavirus and ensure the enjoyment of life and dignity for all, as outlined in the Bill of Rights. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Let me take this moment to acknowledge the presence of Chief Whip, the National Assembly, Honorable Pemi Machodina. Thank you very much. We will proceed to receive and get a question from, this is a follow-up question from Honorable Dodov.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President, for a very comprehensive response on the unveiling of the mitigation plan in terms of administering the rollout plan, as well as ensuring that we prevent the acts of corruption in the rollout plan as such. Honorable Deputy President will certainly agree with me that as part of the corruption mitigation strategy, government must ensure that those in the front line of the administration, storage, as well as distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine should be men and women in the public service with unquestionable integrity. Against this background, does the government plan to subject all the frontline personnel in the administration of the COVID-19 vaccine to integrity tests? Will the government ensure that it subject those to the integrity tests? If not, why not? And if so, what are the relevant details that the Deputy President can share with us? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Yes, we agree that government must ensure that those in the front line of the administration, the storage, and the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine should be men and women in the public service with unquestionable integrity. But as for now, there is no policy from the National Department of Health that will subject pre-vaccination integrity tests, as this is not a prerequisite in the vaccination for COVID-19 potential recipient of vaccines that are required. But all that we have got an electronic vaccine data system that everyone who's receiving the vaccine will be registered in that data system. And we think that data system will reduce the number of people that will jump the queues, the number of people that may want to steal the vaccines, because each and every site where vaccination is happening, the vaccines that is sent on that site has been accounted for, has been calculated. The number, it's known. So there won't be any vaccine that will get missing, and everyone who's vaccinated get registered in the electronic data system that is centrally coordinated, so that at the end of the day, when the day ends, we know how many people have been vaccinated at which sites of our vaccination sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The first follow-up question after Honorable Dodovu is going to be Honorable Detroit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, people are very innovative. And we've recently seen fake vaccines that were developed in China, and it didn't take long for those vaccines to reach our shores, like the ones that was found in Germiston. Now, Deputy President, a fake vaccine is not the same as a fake jacket or fake shoes or a fake brand. These fake vaccines are actually deadly because someone might think it's safe, but they're not. Question is, have you spoken to your counterparts from other countries such as China to stop the spread of these vaccines? And what measures are in place to stop people from being injected by this at the different vaccine areas? Thank you, Deputy President.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. In our corruption risk mitigation plan, which in the IMC, it's a work stream, we've got law enforcement agencies that are working together with Interpol. Now, a number of medicines that have been found in our ports of entry, which are illegal, have been detected by this multidisciplinary team that is working within the IMC. And that multidisciplinary team consists of all the arms of our law enforcement agencies, and they connect with Interpol. So all the incidences that the honorable member is mentioning, they've been detected, we've been informed, and some people have been arrested and some are still being followed. There's a consignment that came from India of the ivermectin. Now, we have confiscated that consignment and the owners have just disappeared. There's no one who has come up to come and claim that consignment. So our eyes are wide open on such fake vaccines. Our law enforcement agencies report on a daily basis, and we're meeting on a weekly basis at the IMC to get reports of such fake vaccines. And we must say to our people, they can only use vaccines that are given on our vaccine sites that have been announced by government. They can't be taking any vaccines anywhere except in those vaccination sites that have been announced by government. Our people must be aware that there are those unscrupulous people out there that are selling fake vaccines, and they must be aware. As the IMC, we're working together with this multidisciplinary team of our law enforcement agencies to help us track those fake vaccines. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll then move to the next follow-up question from Honorable Lehihi. Honorable Lehihi,
Chair.
please proceed.
Apartheid was a very dark time in the history of South Africa, and the advent of democracy brought with it hope that finally Black lives will be worth something in this country. Secondly, Deputy President, the government plunged us back into darkness. When at the height of a global pandemic. Funds that were meant to save lives of millions of South Africans were looted shamelessly. We saw performative arrests of those funds to have been involved in the looting of COVID-19 funds, but so far haven't heard of any convictions. Would you agree, Deputy President, that looting and corruption is so deeply entrenched in the cycle of the ANC government that the plans you speak of now will not materialize and Black people will be the ones left to suffer yet again? Modlasilo ke a leboga.
Thank you very much, Honorable President, Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Well, I've said in the response that I've given that, well, we're trying by all means to avoid what happened during the procurement of the personal protective equipment. Now, and I've explained why I think that we were subjected to that kind of a situation, because too many products were sold to us, not from one supplier, from many suppliers, and too many prices were offered to us, and we're all just subjected to these unscrupulous suppliers. And I'm sure in the process, we're meant to buy some fake protective equipment. But in this case, I said, it's a very different ball game, because the vaccine manufacturers are very few and limited, and all their products get tested by our bodies. Like in our case, SAPRA will test all vaccines that we use as a country. That is why we've detected the vaccine AstraZeneca to say AstraZeneca does not provide the necessary efficacy that can help the immune of an individual. So it would be pointless to continue vaccinating people with the AstraZeneca, because we're not going to get the required immunity. That was a very good development by our own scientists. And as a country, we should be proud that we've got scientists that are alert, that are testing everything that is here in the market in order to protect consumers, to protect our people. So in terms of price, we are buying from these suppliers, these manufacturers, which are not many. So we're not open to abuse. In terms of the distribution, we've limited the distribution. Now, today in the IMC, we're offered by the Minister of Defense, we're offered some defense facilities where we can utilize to store our vaccines. So we're going to utilize less and less of external capacity. We're going to utilize more and more of our internal capacity as government. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. The next follow-up question is from Honorable Ocamp.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, it's a well-established perception that your government talks a good game on anti-corruption. But talk is cheap. Money buys the whiskey. You talk a good game on anti-corruption when it comes to the arms deal, World Cup 2010, even in Kandla. But yet you fail dismally when it comes to implementing those empty promises that you've made and prosecuting well-connected corruption hyenas like your friend Bobby Mutahung, who feed at the trough created by the ANC. Honorable Deputy President, I think South Africans are sick and tired of listening to all these anti-corruption promises being made, but not seeing it being implemented. Given your assurance that there will be an anti-corruption plan in place with regards to vaccinations, when will you report on the results of the promised interventions on PPE corruption scandals? Thank you very much.
Point of order.
Chair,
Chair, the point of order.
in terms of the rules of the NCOP, if you are bringing an issue without making it a substantive motion, like Honorable Okam, it's inferring that Honorable Deputy President is a friend to somebody without making it a substantive motion. So it's totally out of order.
Yes,
Chairperson, on a point of order, there is a rule that says that we have privileges in this house. And that rule of order or point of order that the Honorable Nyambi raised is just a way of protecting again. Really, there's no real reason for saying that there must be a substantive motion. The rule book is there and you can read it. We are protected and we have freedom of speech in this house. And the ANC is always trying to clamp down that freedom of speech and to say things that's just fitting the ANC. I'm sorry, Chairperson, we will have to follow this up.
Yes. All right, let me allow Honorable Todovu. After that, I'll make a ruling so that we make a bit of progress on the matter.
Yes, Chair, I'm raising on a point of order because specifically, I'm the one who asked the question. And the question was about corruption and the preventative thereof in respect of the rolling out of the vaccines, not about the stadiums, not about the PPEs, and not about any other thing else. And therefore, you can hold on that particular point of order, Comrade Chair, Honorable Chairperson. Thank you.
Honorable members, I'll come back to the House at a later stage. But for now, I guess what we should do is to proceed and afford the Deputy President an opportunity to respond to the question. Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Well, I take you that the question is a deviation, but however, I'll respect your ruling. I'll answer this question in the context of the vaccine distribution. Any corruption within the vaccine distribution program, I've tried to explain that we've got a risk mitigation plan. And we've got a multidisciplinary team that is working with us, that is reporting on a daily basis, on a weekly basis as we meet as the IMC to track any acts of corruption. And I've said, in the case of the acquisition of vaccines, corruption is very limited because the manufacturers are limited. And pricing, we're not open to be abused by any unscrupulous suppliers because the manufacturers are limited. And in this case, as a country, it's only national government that gets to purchase these vaccines and then gets distributed to provinces and even into our private facilities. They get these vaccines from government. Now, in that case, it's very difficult for anyone to defraud the state. In terms of the storage of the vaccines, up to now, we have been storing our vaccines in the COVAX facilities, BioVac facilities in Midrand that are visited. In those facilities, government has got a share. Government is a shareholder. We part own those facilities. And we're looking for more facilities because as we are going to phase 2 of the rollout, more and more vaccines will be getting into provinces. That is why we're looking at more and more storages from the Department of Defense, and we've found those storages. And I said there will be limited services that we are going to require from the private sector. Now, we are going to use our available capacity as government as far as we can to roll out and distribute these vaccines to all the vaccination sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll now move on to question 4. Question 4 is a question on retrenchments at Eskom. This question has been raised by T. Matebula and is directed to the Deputy President. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. We can confirm that Eskom's headcount reduction plan was communicated to government as a shareholder, and it forms part of updates that are shared by the utility with the political task team that has been appointed by the President. Honorable members will appreciate the restructuring of a company of Eskom's magnitude, that it will not be an easy task and may take longer, considering the potential effects thereof. Nevertheless, our position remains that Eskom must be supported to implement a comprehensive turnaround program. This will ensure that the utility develops and enhances its requisite institutional capabilities to meet the country's energy needs. To this end, Eskom and government have committed to achieve headcount reduction as part of the turnaround program, without embarking on retrenchment. Our understanding is that Eskom's headcount reduction, as well as the cost reduction strategy that the utility started implementing in 2016, are amongst those efforts aimed at improving the utility's financial sustainability. It is envisaged that this will increase efficiencies in capital and operational expenditure, including employee benefits. Therefore, the restructuring process of Eskom into an efficient and a financial sustainable entity means that its turnaround and organizational transformation must be focused on achieving significant cost reduction and savings, while improving overall efficiencies across the cost drivers, such as expenditures on coal contracts and compensation of employees. Eskom's headcount reduction that the honorable member is referring to is part of Eskom's 10-year strategic workforce plan, which seeks to analyze and focus the workforce that is required to execute the business strategy by enabling Eskom to identify, develop, and sustain its workforce in support of its organizational objective. Essentially, Eskom's workforce will reduce from 44,929 to 40,691 by 2030. which will be achieved through natural attrition, retirement, limited replacement of attrition, and voluntary severance packages. This is informed by a range of factors within the business categories, but most importantly, it prioritizes replacement of critical skills, that is engineers, artisans, technical officials, technicians, operators, through learner intake to offset the impact of attrition. The bulk of the reduction will still be achieved through natural attrition, with 11% from voluntary severance packages. Simple put, the Eskom's historical attrition is projected to remain the same over the next 3 years, taking into account replacement of critical skills in operation. On the figures suggested by the honorable member, Eskom has provided government with an overview of the net attrition since 2019 financial year, factoring a voluntary severance package appointment for the year 2021 and projections up to the year 2024, with a total of 6,074 employees to be released through voluntary severance package and attrition. That being said, government advocates for Eskom's headcount review to be in a manner that balances and matches the business delivery outcomes, core skills, and improved organizational performance. As government will ensure that Eskom continues to invest in critical skills, as well as long-term pipeline of engineering and technical expertise. Supporting Eskom is essential towards ensuring security of supply of energy for our country. With the energy security, we will restore economic growth, increase employment, improve the quality of life of all our people. Therefore, let us continue to work in unison towards these aspirations and support Eskom to get out of these challenges. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson.
Okay, thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll then move on to a follow-up question from Honorable Matebula.
Nakensa Mutama Shtul. Shanda Shamrangeri wa tiko. Matela Koko, Brian Mulife, Arnold Said, and Soli Chitagano were all suspended from their various executive and senior management roles at Eskom on various allegations ranging from corruption and underperformance. When Jan Obenholzer was accused of corruption, he was not suspended. In fact, he instituted an investigation to clear himself while at work. Deputy President, currently there are serious allegations of corruption and racism made by a senior manager at Eskom against the Eskom CEO, Andre de Ruyter. Based on a letter sent to Parliament, the Minister of Public Enterprise and the board, but he is not suspended. Deputy President, is accountability and suspension only reserved for Black senior managers of SOEs when allegations of corruption surface, while whites like de Ruyter are untouchable and protected by the Minister of Public Enterprise? Nakensa Chair.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Well, we are getting continuous reports from the political task team that is looking into the affairs of Eskom. We are continuously briefed about the corruption cases that are being followed, that are being investigated, and we appreciate progress that is made by our law enforcement agencies. We will continue to investigate any allegation that will crop up as we continue to get Eskom into the right footing. I don't want us to politicize and to rationalize the corruption that is happening in Eskom. Corruption is corruption, and we must not give corruption a color. Anyone who's found to be on the wrong side will be investigated, will be suspended, and finally will be expelled from Eskom. But let us not jump the gun. Let us follow the process of the law. It might take long. Some of our members might be impatient to follow the law to the letter. But as government, we are all obliged and expected to follow the law. So yes, there are allegations that are leveled against a number of people in Eskom. And finally, I can tell you, honorable member, that we are going to dig right up to the bottom of these allegations. But what we don't want to be driven by racial tendencies. South Africa belongs to all of us, black and white, and we must respect it. We must try to avoid all tendencies that seek to take us back to our ugly past. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Let's proceed to the follow-up question from Honorable Boshoff.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good afternoon to you, Deputy President. Mr. Deputy President, is it not true that if your government had prevented the corruption and the capture of Eskom, as seen in vivid detail in the Zondo Commission, and had invested in the upskilling of employees in the renewable energy sector, it may have been possible to ameliorate the fate of these retrenched workers? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
I beg your pardon, Honorable Chairperson, I haven't heard the question.
Yes.
Honorable Chairperson. I haven't heard
Chair,
the question.
would you like me to read it again?
Please.
Yeah, please.
And could I ask the President to have his attention in this House and not somewhere else? Thank you very much. Mr. Deputy President, I am repeating what I said earlier on. Is it not true that if your government had prevented the corruption and the capture of Eskom, as seen in vivid detail in the Zondo Commission, and had invested in the upskilling of these employees in the renewable energy sector, it may have been possible to ameliorate the fate of these retrenched workers? I trust that you got the gist of it. Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I've heard the question now. Well, the very fact that there was corruption, a lot of wrongdoing in Eskom, no one is trying to refute that. And hence all the investigations that are happening in Eskom, which we are supporting, the very same government is investigating all the wrongdoing that happened in Eskom. But the fact of the matter, the release of this amount of people and workers in Eskom, it's informed by the business case of Eskom. Just to share with the honorable member that the amount of workers in Eskom has doubled since 2008 to date. Now the number has doubled, but the amount of energy that we are producing is getting less. That means the demand out there is getting lesser and lesser and lesser. That means a lot of people have opted out of Eskom. Maybe they are producing energy on their own, household production. They've disconnected from Eskom. So the number of employees that are there in Eskom does not make a business case. Therefore, we must reduce the number. The only business case that has been presented before us is that you need qualified technician engineers in Eskom so that you can improve the efficiency of the utility of all our power stations. And that we've allowed Eskom to try and source engineers, technicians, and the expertise that Eskom needs. Eskom might find those expertise outside the country. But in the near future, Eskom must train the necessary people, must be able to train artisans, must be able to train engineers in-house so that they increase their productivity. We cannot continue to justify the number of people that are there in Eskom, given what we are producing, given the amount of energy that we are producing. So yes, in the turnaround strategy, we must scale down in terms of the number of people that are working in Eskom. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll then move on to Honorable Khai.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to Honorable Deputy President. Thank you so much for your response, Honorable Deputy President, which has isolated truth from fiction that is born out of malicious gossip about the critical task of strategic turnaround of Eskom. As you have loudly made it clear, there is no planned retrenchment in Eskom, but organizational re-engineering to improve operational and financial efficiency as part of the long-term turnaround strategy, which include natural attrition, retirements, and voluntary severance packages. In this light, Honorable Deputy President, what incentives is Eskom putting on the table to make voluntary severance packages attractive, especially to the non-critical skill sections of the workforce, and how effective is the communication with the organized labor about the turnaround to combat misleading rumor mongering? I thank you, Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you very much, Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Yes, you're correct. We are not really retrenching any person, but we are affording people the different tools, especially severance package. A severance package is made available for anyone who's close to retirement age, who might want to opt out of the institution. And those people are encouraged to opt out of the institution so that we can attract relevant and younger people who have got the appropriate skills in Eskom. And Eskom has put an incentive of 75,000 as a gratuity if you take the severance package. We are not forcing anyone to take the severance package, but there is an incentive that if you take the severance package, you will be given this 75,000 gratuity, so that the exercise should not be seen as we are forcefully retrenching people. People are opting out on their own volition. Now, some are getting out of the system through natural attrition. People die, and when they die, we don't replace, we abolish those positions so that finally we can achieve the required number of employees that are desired for the institution and the number of employees that are qualified as engineers, as all the technical expertise that is required by the institution to fulfill its obligation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The last follow-up question is from Honorable Ngwezi. Honorable Ngwezi.
Ngiyathokoza Sihlalo. Honorable Deputy President, surely whatever program that seeks to, address the issues at Eskom has yielded to these kinds of solutions being provided, such as what the person who asked the question calls it, retrenchment of 2,000 people. My question is that, are you not in fear of the poor service delivery that is going to be provided to our people after the retrenchments? Because this is quite a big number, and abantu bakithi bangase babe nenkinga kagesi njengoba vele uhlala ukhona and mhlambe isimo sibe worse. So as leader of government business, awunalo yini uvalo lokuthi kungenzeka isimo kunalokho esiyikho siqhubeke sibe worse because the human resource is now very little at Eskom? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. No, Honorable Member, I don't have any fear. The reason why it's because that Eskom is one entity of government that is highly specialized. Currently, we are grappling with power stations that have got problems with maintenance. And we were aware that over the past years, we have lost a number of highly skilled people in Eskom. And we must try by all means to try and reproduce and skill a lot of people that will replace the skill that has been lost in Eskom. So these people that we are allowing to leave, those people that leave the utility through natural attrition, we can only replace those skills that are highly in need in the institution. But if that skill is no longer needed in Eskom, we don't replace those people that have gone out of Eskom through natural attrition. If those people that have gone out of Eskom through taking severance package, we replace those that have got the desired skills to be able to take Eskom to the next level. The population, the country is really complaining about the service that they get from Eskom. So it's important for Eskom to up its game. And Eskom can only up its game if it has got the right people at the right places. And as it happened now, Eskom needs more people at the power station level, because that's where generation happens. And at the power station level, we need engineers and technicians that can deal with the challenges and the breakages that happens at the power station that lead us to load shedding. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. We'll now move on to question 5. This question is on the next step, re-collapse of municipality. It is from Dear Ryder to the Deputy President. Honorable Ryder.
Thank you.
Sorry, Honorable President, Deputy President, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The pollution of the Vaal River system remains a great concern to all of us, Honorable Chairperson, bearing in mind its hazard to health and the disruption of economic activities necessary for sustainable livelihood. We cannot express more than we have our sincere apologies to all affected citizens for the hardship that they've endured because of this pollution of the Vaal River. As government, we acknowledge the severity of the problem posed by the sewer spillage at the time it has taken and the time that it has taken to deal with this negative impact on the lives of our people and the economy of Gauteng as well as the neighboring provinces. This problem is as a result of poor maintenance of our sanitation infrastructure by a number of municipalities along the Vaal River. These municipalities have met municipalities in Mpumalanga and Gauteng, Free State, Northwest, Northern Cape provinces. There is no question that the Mfuleni local municipality contributes significant amount to this pollution. What is worse is that the institutional governance challenges of Mfuleni compound the provision of water and sanitation within the municipality. This, among other issues, has led to the Gauteng Provincial Executive Council invoking Section 1391B and 5A intervention of the Constitution of South Africa in June 2018. However, the reality is that over the past 2 years, the Gauteng provincial government intervention has not yielded the desired results in terms of sanitation management improvement. Now, the South African Human Rights Commission has issued a report recommending that government should put urgent legislative intervention in place to correct the violation of human rights. Honorable Ryder has been on this matter and will recall that in November 2020, he had called for the national government to use its authority to step in for the sake of Mfuleni residents. Of course, at the time, we did express our frustration at the developments and committed that national government will step up its intervention in order to revitalize the services that have collapsed and get the situation corrected. Undoubtedly, the situation has necessitated additional intervention as provided for by Section 63 of the Water Services Act of 1997. As part of this intervention, the Minister of Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation will be taking over the functions of the Water Services Authority as stated in Section 63.2 of the Water Services Act of 1997. This means the minister will assume the municipal responsibilities for a specific duration to fix the sanitation challenges as experienced by the people of Mfuleni. This intervention for sanitation and water infrastructure in Mfuleni local municipality will be implemented through a 7.6 billion rand multi-pronged approach. This will be directed at operations and maintenance to be implemented by Rand Water, refurbishment and upgrade of infrastructure to be implemented by the Department of Water and Sanitation, and sustainability of water and sanitation services through the restructuring of the municipal entity responsible for water and sanitation, as well as the procurement of tools of trade. In this regard, administrators appointed in the municipality are working together with the Department of Water and Sanitation to resolve these challenges of Emfuleni local municipality. The Minister of Finance, Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Human Settlement and Water and Sanitation are in continuous engagement with the intention to ring-fence financial resources and strengthen governance response to this sanitation challenge. An amount of 1.8 billion rand has been budgeted in the medium-term expenditure framework to address the refurbishment and upgrade of the infrastructure there. Furthermore, the Department of Water and Sanitation is in the process of appointing several contractors to support the efforts to stop the further and continued pollution of the Vaal River. It is anticipated that appointment of these civil and mechanical engineers will be made by May 2021. Work will start immediately thereafter. The completion time for most major work varies from on the refurbishment to 3 years on the upgrade work. Thank you, Honorable.
Yeah, thank you very much. Honorable Ryder.
Oops. Sorry. Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Deputy President. Mr. Mabuza, the involvement of the Minister is nothing new. Every cent of regional bulk infrastructure grant allocation to Emfuleni has been given directly to the Department of Human Settlements, Water and Sanitation since 2013, as this became a presidential priority project. In fact, the Minister opened a new component to the wastewater treatment works just 2 weeks ago at the end of February. But the problem lies in the broken reticulation and the pump stations. So all of the work that the South African National Defence Force has done, and this latest addition to the system, does not help, as the sewage still flows in the streets and stormwater system, and pump stations overflow into the river. The National Council of Provinces went on oversight to Emfuleni and were told that the treatment works are under capacity because the sewage does not even get to them. It's in the streets, it's in people's houses, it's even in malls and offices. This past week, Rand Water further reduced water supply in Emfuleni as a credit control measure, effectively cutting off many residents in higher lying areas. Minister Sisulu's plans that she's been working on are not working. Mr. Deputy President, as the leader of government business, you are responsible. The human rights abuses that have been detailed in the report that you mentioned can be laid directly at the minister's feet, not at Emfuleni's feet, as the report said. They can be laid at the minister's feet, at your feet, and at the feet of the president, as this is a presidential priority project. Will you now declare a disaster to allow the appropriate responses to be applied urgently to save the lives and the environment of the people in the area? Thank you.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I really appreciate the frustration and the concern from the honorable member. I've visited the area and I've seen the extent of the problem. Now, the province has intervened, but the intervention has not yielded the desired outcome. The spillage in the Vaal River, in the houses, in the streets, still continue unabated. Now, when we were in this house, we promised to take this problem further. And we have taken a discussion with the minister. At that time, we took a discussion with the Minister of Defense, Minister of Human Settlement, Water and Sanitation, Minister of Cooperative Governance. It was quite clear that the Department of Water and Sanitation lacks some ability because some of the authority still rest with the provincial government. Now that the minister has taken over the function of water services in the municipality and taken it upon himself to intervene now through this amount of resources that have been budgeted for Mfuleni. I want to believe, Honorable Rider, that there will be a difference. And I want to assure you that in the shortest possible time, myself and the Minister of Human Settlement and the Minister of Culture and the Premier are going to visit the area so that we prioritize the agency of finishing that project because life is affected. The conditions under which people of Mfuleni are living under, that condition is not welcome. They cannot, these people of Mfuleni, be subjected to this condition for a long time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy President. The next follow-up question is from Honorable Mtsamai.
President. Re bona maiteko a 139 masepaleng wa Mfuleni a folotsa. Masepala o tswella pele go sa ele tlhoko le go gatella ditokelo tsa badudi. Masepala o tlase ga kgatelelo le bogwenegwene go godimo empa le gompieno ga gona motho yo golegilweng. Deputy President, a mmuso wa rona o tlo thoma leng go tiisa letsogo go basenyi dimasepaleng. Goreng le sa utlwe botlhoko batho ba rona ba tlase ga kgatelelo. Goreng le sa diragatse toka le dikopo tsa setšhaba. Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
Honorable Chairperson, I don't have any translation facilities here, and I could not pick up the question.
The question really is around the Tukelo Tabadu rights of citizens or residents. Yeah, okay. Yes, Matebul.
Chairperson, ka sitting le ngabana yo tolweni ni raise the issue at the translators. And so remember ina yi put say question e re morakabo. Nginamile ku ihlamsele question dia and ami ihlamsele sona. So nikombala ku Chairperson melungisa issue at the translators so that the member at I know what that question mukota the translator the way but would say show and can check.
Now, I think this discussion of translation is really a very important question. It has been raised before. It's a matter that will have to be pursued outside of this meeting, this sitting. We'll request the and urge the table to attend to the matters. But I see Chief Whip wants to make a comment.
I do, in fact, there is translations in the house. But for those members who are on visual, there is no translation.
Okay.
There is, okay. Now, okay, then the comments stand. I don't want to really spoil that. The matter should be looked into. I suggest that you are helping the Deputy President, and we should welcome that by interpreting the question so that it enhances the response to the questions. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's in there's been some intervention, and then the issue is being addressed. We'll update the House from time to time, just to ensure that we're all on par. Deputy President, the question really is around. Yes, Matebula. What's the point of order?
Can I assist you to read the question because you are
Please
explaining
do.
very wrongly, Chair.
Please do, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Deputy President, despite a lengthy Section 139 intervention of Mfuleni municipality has remained dysfunctional. The municipality has been run to the ground with little to no consequences for those responsible. At which point does it occur to government that urgent intervention are needed in municipalities? Are the living condition of those affected by the service delivery breakdown not enough to instigate an urgent intervention? Do you have had time to fix this? What has taken you so long? Nakensa Chair.
No, thank you very much. Matebula is playing a very important role. and should really acknowledge the assistance. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. When I started answering this question, I really conveyed our apologies to the people of Mfuleni. I'm quite aware that this problem has taken very long. Interventions have not yielded the desired outcome. Now, it was very important, honorable member, that we allow the intervention firstly by the province. The application of Section 139, of which, as the National Council of Provinces, you are also party to that intervention, because the province can't really go alone without your blessing. Now that intervention has not yielded results. And we therefore now saying the minister must intervene. Of course, that is not a justification that this problem has taken too long. Now, the only difference now that I am bringing to the House is that we are now bringing the intervention of the National Department. Of course, when the National Department of Defense was brought in there, the crisis was huge. But when I visited there, the Department of Defense did quite some work, because some of the sewer treatment plants, they were not working. But when the department left, those treatment plants were working. Of course, they needed the required maintenance. I'm not aware as of now that the situation has been, has improved in those treatment plants. But the situation in the household has not improved. Now, this time around, the Minister of Human Settlement and Water and Sanitation will intervene directly, will take the authority from the municipality, that of water services, so that the minister can deal with the water problem and the sanitation problem. Of course, certain amount of resources have been allocated to this project, which are not enough. It's going to be a multi-year project, but we are going to go there and see for ourselves and ensure that the appointment of the contractors to deal with the problem is fast-tracked. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The next follow-up question is from Honorable Dango.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Honorable Deputy President, we welcome the intensified efforts to address the challenges in the Mfuleni local authority. As evidenced amongst others, the intervention of Minister of Water and Sanitation. Honorable Deputy President, the challenges, please comment on the corrective actions taken to the perception of maladministration
Order,
in the
members.
Mfuleni.
Let's listen to the question.
In the Mfuleni local authority.
Yes, yes.
Honorable Chairperson,
Please,
you
please be tolerant.
You and I.
Honorable Dango, proceed.
You and I and Honorable Ryder, amongst others, were present when the previous mayor of the area stated that whatever interventions we take, populist actions further north in Johannesburg by the previous administration and by Tshwane is going to contribute to the further problems in the area, because it doesn't matter what the army does to correct these things as the effluent flows freely and more populist actions are taken, that this will not resolve the problem. So it becomes all our responsibility to ensure that these actions are corrected, that these actions are not taking place, because if we lose the Vaal, we lose the industrial heartland of the country. I thank you.
Thank you very much. The last question is a question on political task team on Eskom.
Honorable Chair, point of order.
It is raised by...
Point of order, Chair.
Oh, sorry.
Honorable Chair, with all due respect, my question was supposed to have been posed after the Honorable Motsamai, and then you recognized Honorable Dangor. So I still have a question on this issue for the Deputy President. May I proceed?
No, thank you very much. Why don't we do that? Get the response from the Deputy President on the question from Dango, and then move on to Detroit and get the response before we move to the next question. Agreed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I need to reiterate the disappointment and the apology that we're giving to the people of Mfuleni. I've said that the problem is not only Mfuleni municipality. There are a lot of provinces that are contributing to the pollution, because it's not only about the problem of water spillage, sewer spillage in the area where people are residing, the blockages of the treatment plants. That's not only the problem. The problem is that the spillage is going into the Vaal River and then affecting the economy of these 3-4 provinces. Mpumalanga, Gauteng, Free State, the Northwest, and Northern Cape. So as much as we are going to deal with the problem of the Gauteng province and Mfuleni, say the inability of the municipality to deal with the problem, its share of the problem, we must still deal with all the other provinces and municipalities that contribute to the problem. We're going to take this matter up. We've met with all these municipalities from different provinces that contribute to the problem. We are going to make a follow-up, and we're going to ensure that money is put aside to deal with the problem. So I must assure honorable members that the next time we come to this house, we're going to report a different message. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Let's move to the question by Honorable Detroit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, you've already answered comprehensively, but it's evident that money is being poured into this Mfuleni municipality by great extent, and we can't move around the fact that there are many municipalities that are beyond the Back to Basics programs, such as Mfuleni. Across the country, much smaller municipalities experience the same problem every day, and in every of these provinces, provincial treasuries and Kochte departments waste time and tax money, taxpayers' money, on something that shouldn't even have existed if the municipalities were managed effectively. Now, the golden thread through all these municipalities are the municipal managers who's a mess in this whole situation, only to be deployed to another municipality. SALGA have some extent indicated that they will address the problem of the municipal managers, but they are never really held accountable for the mess that they've created in the first time, Deputy President. Have you discussed the issue with SALGA, and have you come to a solution with regards to this to hold people accountable for this waste of money and the mess that we are currently in? Thank you, Deputy President.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Honorable Chairperson, I think the problem with the collapse of service delivery in our municipality, I think is the architecture and the way we're working as the different spheres of government. Most of the time, the national government will not be aware of the situation that is unfolding in a municipality until there's a crisis. National government will not be aware of a situation unfolding in a province until there's a crisis. Now, we deliberated much on this problem, and finally the president came up with the district delivery model. Now, this model seeks to get together national government, provincial government, and local government at a district level, so that we can share our plans of service delivery. All the plans that we are going to share is now going to be included and accommodated in one plan, one district plan, which will involve programs that are coming from national government, programs that are coming from provincial government, and programs that are coming from local government. And we are going to ensure that these programs are funded. Now, we are going to monitor the spending. We're going to monitor the implementation of that one plan at the district level, all of us as the three spheres of government. We hope that in that way, all of us are going to be forced to account. And we have appointed some district champions, which are ministers that are going to chair all the district forums that will monitor the implementation of service delivery in each and every district. We think this will bring an improvement, because really to follow each and every municipality one by one, they are collapsing every day, doesn't assist. It will be better that we hold municipality, provinces, and national government to account at the district level where it matters most, where they must deliver the services. Now, if there's any collapse of service, I think all of us will be quick to realize the collapse and respond accordingly. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair.
Yes, thank you very much, Deputy President. The last question is question on political testimony on Eskom from Honorable Nsube to the Deputy President. Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The Department of Mineral Resources and Energy has started work on the implementation of the IRP 2019. The department has been providing regular updates to the political team on Eskom in this regard. The work undertaken by the department includes the procurement of additional 2,000 megawatts of generation capacity under the Risk Mitigation Independent Power Producer Program. The department will announce successful bidders from this program before the end of March 2021. The department is also working on a request for proposals for the procurement of 11,513 megawatts of generation capacity from renewable energy, gas, coal, and storage. We have been informed by the department that the first request for a proposal for 2,600 megawatts from renewable energy, commonly known and referred as bid window 5, will be issued to the market before the end of March 2021. The rest is scheduled to follow in August and December 2021, respectively. South Africa's economic recovery and growth path largely will depend on our ability to ensure the security of energy supply in line with our aspirations of industrialization, job creation. We must ensure that there is no disruption of electricity. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Let's move on then to the follow-up question by Honorable Nsube.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson of the Council, the Chief Whip, and the Deputy President of the Republic. Deputy President, this August, our House has also had the benefit of briefing by the Minister of Minerals and Energy on the rollout of integrated resource plan, which we welcome as a step in a direct direction towards the sustainable energy security. We welcome the planned rollout acquisition plan of 2,600 megawatts from renewable energy, as indicated by the Deputy President's plan. Honorable Deputy President, the critical question is, how are the emerging power suppliers going to benefit from the procurement? Secondly, Chair, not trying to divert or grandstand from the initial question. The youth of our county would really appreciate the stance or the comment from the Deputy President regarding what's happening in the ground, particularly at VETS and with regard to NSFAS, because there's been a contest between the Minister of Higher Education and the policy position of the ruling party. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to focus on this question of Eskom. Now, the challenge that is faced by students, and I'm sure the Minister of Higher Education will respond to this, as he did this morning, to respond to the challenges and the availability of resources that will seek to resolve the problem. Now, coming back to the question, government has approved the IRP 2019, and that is going to be the roadmap that we are going to follow in trying to procure additional energy. Now, most of the energy that we're going to procure is going to be from renewable energy sources. Now, those renewable energy sources have been procured right from bid window 1, bid window 2, bid window 3, bid window 4. And we are now planning to go to bid window 5. Now, this bid window 1, 2, 3 involves a lot of companies that have been appointed to generate energy using our natural resources like wind, like solar. And as and when they complete a project, they then connect to Eskom. And I must say that the bid window 1, 2, 3, 4, they've been very slow in their completion. Hence, very little energy has been acquired from bid window 1 to bid window 4. The progress is very slow, hence the struggle that we are facing. But one thing again, which is a problem to Eskom, is that the price of one unit that is sold by the independent producers, it's a bit exorbitant and very stiff for Eskom. Eskom is negotiating the prices with those power producers, and we're encouraging them to finalize those negotiations because this is unsustainable. Eskom is charging a certain amount for a unit of energy to the consumers. But if Eskom is paying more for one unit, that can be sustainable. Otherwise, the power utility will be broke. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Detroit.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Deputy President, I'm quoting from the Integrated Resource Plan 2019, open quote, South Africa is a signatory to the Paris Agreement on the climate change and has ratified the agreement. The IRP is an electricity infrastructure development plan based on least cost electricity supply and demand balance, taking into account security of supply and the environment to minimize negative emissions and water usage. And at the time of the proclamation, it was envisaged that the IRP would be a living plan to be revised regularly, close quote. Now, Deputy President, this plan makes mention of natural gas, hydro, renewable energy, solar, PV, wind, etc. But with reference to the above and the fact that the initial question refers to economic growth and employment and that the plan is a living plan, does the integrated resource plan allow for biogas plants to be erected at existing municipal sewage treatment facilities, since this will directly speak to the incorporated government objectives, namely affordable electricity, reduced greenhouse gases, reduced water consumption, diversified electricity generation sources, localization and regional development, and reduced water pollution. Thank you, Deputy President.
Deputy President.
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, we are mindful of the carbon emissions that our power stations that are coal-fired are emitting. To this end, our position is that the transition from coal to renewable power generation in a manner that does not impede socio-economic development must be pursued. And as the political task team, we've agreed that the just energy transition should be implemented in a phased manner over a period of time with the objective of transitioning Eskom to a net zero carbon emission by 2050. It's a very ambitious goal, really, to deal with the carbon emission. But to this end, to just secure the anxiety of honorable members, that Cabinet has approved the submission of the Gas Amendment Bill of 2020 to Parliament. The benefit of this gas are that it contributes to the lowering of carbon emissions and supports the renewable energy generation. In the main, the establishment of a gas market helps mitigate the decrease in coal production and use, provide for the accommodation of new technologies in the market, and fosters the creation of new jobs profile and skills to develop, construct, and manage new import, transport, storage, and consumption infrastructure, and tertiary sectors, such as services. So the country is endowed with a lot of resources. One of those resources is gas. So we think that with the advent of this bill that is going to be discussed, we are going to open the market. Now, we've got gas, we're going to explore and open that market. We hope that is going to reduce our carbon emission, and it will help us to transit from coal to other renewable energy resources. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Muletsane.
Thank you, Chair. In close to 3 decades that ANC government has been in power, we have not seen strong and decisive moves towards rapid industrialization, despite numerous calls from the EFF to do so. To depend on the provision of stable, secure energy from Eskom in order to implement rapid industrialization and by virtue thereof, promote economic growth and employment will be to do a disservice to South Africans. Ambitious plans on paper are all good and well, but we know that when it comes to implementation, the ANC government always falls short. Deputy President, can you tell our people what immediate long-term gains the IRP 2019 will provide for them, and what realistic timelines they can expect to start seeing changes? Thank you, Chair.
Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. The RIP 2019, it's a game changer because it allows the country to open its scope in terms of energy production, generation. We are no longer going to really rely on coal. We've realized that there are many other energy generation resources that we can utilize, like we're talking about gas now. We're talking about wind and solar. And all those are very clean energy generation mechanisms that are not costly. Eskom is paying a lot of money for the emission of carbon. Now, we need to find technologies that will lower the carbon emission, but still utilize our coal deposits that we have. But the IRP 2019 opened up a new chapter in our power generation, and it allows independent power producers to also enter the market. It's no longer going to be a monopoly of Eskom to generate energy. You'll allow independent power producers are allowed to produce energy. We think that would have a very good impact on our economic growth, because more and more energy will start to be available for industrialization. It is not true that the ANC government has done nothing. The ANC government has connected a number of households that were not previously electrified. They are now electrified. Of course, we lagged behind in terms of our build program. Yes, Medupi is there, Gusile is there. It's not enough to keep pace with the economic growth of the country. That is why we are now putting more energy into these independent power producers, the IRP 2019, to open up our generation capacity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Nana.
Well, Mr. Deputy President, I'm sure you will agree with me for once that political task teams, integrated resource plans is like trying to rearrange the deck chairs of a Titanic. Or put it simply, it is like trying to head chickens into a crawl. That's simple English. What South Africans really need, Mr. President, is a proper plan, and a plan which is proposed by the DA, which is Independent Electricity Management Operator Bill, which was in fact a response by the DA to the President's pledge to unbundle Eskom in his 2019 State of the Nation address. I heard you, Mr. Deputy President, mentioning things like opening up the market, things like opening up the scope of energy generation, things like no longer allowing Eskom to enjoy the monopoly. You can take it from me, Mr. DP. I support you and I accept your commitment. But in this house, in this council today, can you tell South Africans and assure South Africans that you will put South Africans first, not the ANC first, and support the private members bill as advised by the DA. Thank you very much.
Honorable Deputy President.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I think the very fact that we, as the ANC, we are governing the country, it's because of the plan that we have presented to the people about how we want to take the country to the next level. I really appreciate the plan of the DA, but the DA has failed to impress upon the people to support that plan. That is why the DA is in the opposition today. The people of South Africa did not agree with your plan, let alone a small plan about Eskom, the plan of the entire country. Now, the plan that you have about Eskom, there's nothing different from the plan that was announced by the president. There's nothing really different. We said in the beginning that Eskom is too big to fail, and probably Eskom must be unbundled so that we create 3 separate entities that will help one another in times of crisis. We don't want our generation capacity, when it picks up problem, it affects our transmission capacity. We don't want our transmission capacity, when it has got problems, it affects our distribution capacity. So we think 3 entities that will be standalone will have the capacity to pull Eskom out of this problem, out of this financial problems. We still believe in that plan, and we're almost far from turning around Eskom and unbundling Eskom. Yes, Eskom is still facing a lot of financial challenges, and we think over time we are going to overcome these financial challenges when our people start paying for the services that they consume. We call upon our people to pay for electricity. That will help Eskom to get out of these financial problems. We request and we plead with our municipalities to pay for the electricity that they consume, so that Eskom can come out of this financial problems. We plead for all government departments that are consuming electricity from Eskom to pay for the electricity that they use, so that Eskom can get out of this financial problems. The problems that are faced by Eskom are multi-pronged, and they've been there for a long time. Now that we are here looking at these problems, we believe that we are going to resolve them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy President. Allow me at this point, honorable delegates, to thank the Deputy President for making himself available to answer our questions and to engage on the various issues that we have raised. Honorable members, leads us to the point of conclusion on the business of the day. The House is now adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Ngiyabonga othandekayo wami. Ngiyabonga othandekayo wami. Thank you so much, sweetie.
Bese nizwile kodwa bahlonishwa abakhongolose ukuthi seniluza imikhandla emibili la KwaZulu Natal. Bese nizwile ngoba
Yebo, Dongeni.
senizwile kodwa. Hlangene seniyiluzile, umkhanya kude seniwuluzile, ngiyanibikela nje ngoba silapha KwaZulu. Ukuthi anisenamkhandla emibili ihambile.
Ngiyasho man, lesikhuluma.
Ngiyani-assist ukuthi ningajabulise kweqe sihlalo bebe. Ngihlonishwa ubebe ngenzela ningajabulise kweqe bhabha yini. Benginibikela ngoba mina ngilapha KwaZulu.
Uyawabuyila ufike nolwimi lakho.
Ngiyabona ke.
Please.
Siyakhuleka bahlonishwa ningafatheki kabi.
Siyabonga. Siyabonga. Hello, Mamuyini, Mami. Ngikhona sisinokuzola. Ndikhona ma, kunjani kuwe? Hayi, akho nto sana ndiyaphila. Usikawali yanga yanga. And then
Dongi, how are you, my friend?
Dale sikufalela mamasi usifutha ngawo. Why nifena ngamayanga yanga?
Kunjani, my friend?
Asina stress.
Dongi,
Ndiyaphila memarikane likayiluna ngwanesu.
Yeah, I should come back to Cape Town now.
Dongi.
Who? Okay, bye-bye.
Balo.
Sure, you're so
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Well, you could remember the alarm. Hey, so yeah. That's what that's it. I'm not talking. Hey, yeah, I never said is a problem. Yeah, and also because the election here is changes, but the active.
Yes, colleagues. Are we ready? Huh?
Yeah, all the members are in the waiting room.
Okay.
Is the recording stopped on the other platforms, Ravi?
I've stopped it here. I don't see anything on the TV. They've stopped it there as well, I think.
Advocate, there's only few of us here. I think colleagues thought there was no meeting.
Oh, okay. Is there anything?
I don't see Benny. I don't see Zama.
Sorry, Ms. Bowers, you're still live on YouTube.
Okay. I'm gonna phone Mado.
Let me just move the PAL streamer out, then I think it should kill the stream.